Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So how many people here want to be happy? How many people are already happy, but you'd like to be happier? And how many people ever had stretches of times in your life where you didn't feel much happiness at all? Anybody ever have that? And the fact is, every single human being alive, regardless of our age, the stage, our gender, our income, our religion, every human being alive wants to be happy. Every goal, every dream, everything that we do has an underlying desire to experience happiness. So the question is, how do we become happy? How do we become happier? Is it that we work harder? Or maybe not work as hard? Maybe it's to have bigger dreams. Maybe it's to have fewer dreams. Maybe it's to have more money. Maybe it's to have less money. How do we find the way to happiness? You know, our Declaration of Independence says that we have 3 unalienable rights: to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have the right to pursue happiness. And to pursue happiness is to go after happiness, to work for it, to strive for it, to reach for it, to chase it, and to achieve it. And that's the way we achieve happiness. We pursue it. But do you know that scientists are saying that we have become so obsessed with happiness that the more that we pursue it, the harder it is to actually attain it? Professor Adam Grant said that there is reason to believe that the quest for happiness might be a recipe for misery. That the single-minded pursuit of happiness actually makes people less happy. The more we go after happiness, the harder it is to find. It's like a cat chasing its own tail. And the reason is because the more obsessed we are with happiness, the more we look for it in the wrong places. We look for it in achievement. We look for it in success, in bigger houses, in larger promotions. 62% of high school students believe that money's the golden ticket to happiness and a good life. I think the adult version of that is maybe even higher. I'm not sure. And the other thing about happiness is that sometimes we put pressure on ourselves and other people to be happy. Like at Christmas, everyone expects us to be happy. And sometimes the pressure of having to be happy sometimes makes us not so happy. And then finally, when we are obsessed with being happy, we tend to turn in ourselves and think about ourselves. And we end up withdrawing and sometimes avoiding people, which actually makes us feel more lonely, which makes us feel more unhappy. So far, this talk about happiness ain't making me feel happy. So Richard, why don't you tell a joke? Great idea. So this young, ambitious attorney who wants to be happy is hard working late at night in his office, and then the devil appears. And the devil says to the lawyer, I got a great proposition for you. You can win every single case for the rest of your life. Your clients will adore you. Your colleagues will stand in awe of you. You will be successful beyond your dreams, and you will make embarrassing amounts of money. You can have it all. All I want in exchange is your soul, and your wife's soul, and your children's soul, and the souls of your parents, the souls of your grandparents, the souls of your parents-in-law, the souls of all your friends, and the souls of all your law partners. And the lawyer looks at the devil and he says, so what's the catch? Okay. Clearly, that joke did not add to the happiness level of anyone in this room. So what's the catch with happiness? If pursuing it doesn't get it, how does one attain or experience happiness? And the fact of the matter is that happiness is a natural result and a natural outcome of how we live our lives. There are certain ways of living that actually naturally call forth the experience of happiness. It's like that proverbial butterfly. You stop chasing it and you relax, and guess what? It gently lands on your shoulder. Happiness is not something we chase, but it's a way that we live that opens the way to happiness. And we give way to happiness. So what are the things we can do to give way and open the way for happiness in our lives? And that is to live by 4 powerful principles of life. And we practice these principles of living, And peace, happiness, and fulfillment will be the natural result and outcome. You know, I think the greatest gift that God has given us is the power of our mind. It is through the power of our thoughts, the power of our imaginations, we can bring forth and create things. There was a movie called The Beautiful Mind. Our minds are beautiful, they are amazing. But sometimes our minds can be scary places. Sometimes we can be obsessive about negative things and resentments and live them over and over in our heads. We can be anxious and be filled with so much worry and negativity and doubt. Somebody once said, "My mind is a scary place. It's like a dark room. It's a place where negatives are developed." How many people have ever been so worried and obsessed that your mind has been distracted, you couldn't think clearly, and you couldn't even sleep well? Anybody ever have that? You know? And so I truly believe that happiness is an inside job and unhappiness is an inside job. That all of our happiness and unhappiness tends to come from what we're thinking. And many of us let our minds go wild with negativity and worry and anxiety. Not only repeating negative from the past, but even projecting negative in the future. And so one of the greatest gifts that God has given us is the gift of meditation. Because meditation is the thing that can quiet the mind. Meditation is a thing that can still the mind and go beyond the swirling thoughts and hurts and worries and negativity. That because beyond the mind, when we let go of all of that stuff and quiet it, there is a place of peace. The Dalai Lama said that peace is the first and the most important sign of happiness. Anybody ever, when you meditate, you do a mantra, you might do God is love, God is love. Anybody know what a mantra means? In Sanskrit, it actually means to take away the mind. That's what a mantra is. You repeat, God is love, God is love, God is love, and meditate on it. And what it does, it takes away the busyness of the mind so your mind can just rest in peace, rest in the quietness. And when our mind is at peace, guess what? It opens a way to feel God's love, to feel divine wisdom, and to experience that inner fountain of joy within us. How many people here know that you would do yourself good by spending more time in meditation? How many people? And the fact is, every one of us. We don't need to pursue happiness, but what we need to do is to take time to meditate and to quiet the mind and just allow the love and the peace of God just to naturally flow through us. And I was reading an article this week by Deepak Chopra, and it's called Rewire Your Brain for Happiness. It says that regular meditation changes your brain. That common negative states and depression and stuff, that when you meditate over a long period of time, it actually changes your brain. There's a level of elasticity in the brain that is reconfigured through meditation that actually creates more feelings of well-being, happiness, and fulfillment. There was a study at UCLA that said long-time meditators, they actually, their insula cortex actually gets thicker and stronger, and that is the place where we make decisions, where we have emotional awareness and self-recognition, and that's what controls our level of attention we are able to experience. Buddhists say that the more you meditate, the more your mind set changes to experience more peace. We don't need to pursue happiness, but the more we quiet our minds through meditation, the more happiness will actually just be a natural byproduct. So I invite you this week that anytime your mind is agitated, would you be willing to just take time to meditate and quiet your mind and to quiet the craziness, to just let yourself feel peace? Second thing we're going to talk about is the power of meaning. You know, they say don't pursue happiness, but one thing we should pursue is meaning. The fact is, one of the things every single one of us is looking for and don't realize is we want to know that our lives have meaning, that our lives matter, that who we are absolutely makes a difference, and that our lives have a purpose, and that our lives have meaning. Dr. Viktor Frankl, who wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Meaning, says this. He says, life is never unbearable because of its circumstances. No matter how difficult they are, life is not unbearable because of circumstances. Life is only unbearable because of lack of meaning and purpose. That when we feel our life has no meaning and that we have no purpose, that is when we feel most empty. That is when we feel most alone. That is when we feel most dissatisfied. That is when we feel the greatest level of despair. But when we know that our life has purpose and meaning, it gives us a sense of self. It gives us a sense of confidence and clarity, a level of focus and determination. When we have a sense of meaning and purpose to our lives, the challenges and obstacles don't bother us as much because we know we're here for something greater. That a sense of purpose gives ourselves a sense of satisfaction, and that meaning drives us to make us be more excited about our lives. And so here's that we should pursue meaning, absolutely. And here are the two things about pursuing meaning. Number one, every single person's life here everyone's life has a purpose and meaning, and that purpose and meaning is about making this world a better place and making the lives of other people better in some way. Every one of us has a similar connection in what the meaning and our purpose of our life is. Here's what Viktor Frankl says. Being human always points to and is directed to something or someone other than ourselves. Be it a meaningful deed or another human being to encounter, the more one forgets oneself by giving oneself to a cause to serve or another person to love, that is what makes us more human and makes us feel more alive. Every one of us is here to make a difference in some way. And maybe yours is to be a teacher. Maybe yours is to bring healing. Maybe yours is to entertain and make people laugh. Maybe yours is to work with children. Maybe it's to help the homeless. Maybe it's to help make the world a better place through the environment. Maybe it's to do it with your photography and bringing more beauty to the world. Maybe it's with music. Maybe it's with art. Maybe it's with business. Whatever it is, the fact is every single one of us is here to make this world a better place and to make a difference. And the second thing he says about finding meaning, he says, you should not ask the question, what is the meaning of life? He said the real question we should ask ourselves is, what meaning am I giving to life? And so the question is, what meaning do you give to your life? What is the meaning you give to your work? What is the meaning you give to your relationships? What is the meaning you give to your family? What is the meaning you give to your talents and your abilities? What is the meaning you give to nature and the beauty in this world? That every one of us actually creates meaning. And the more we create meaning, you know what happens? The more we're engaged in life. The more we are so focused on doing good, the less we worry. The less we freak out, we get upset about obstacles and problems, because when we know that our lives have meaning, we tend to direct our energies much more in positive ways. He said even people in concentration camps, that they were able to find meaning like him, because his meaning was, I want to survive this so I can teach people about this. I want to survive this so I could be back with my family. That when we find meaning, even in our suffering, that finding meaning will actually drive us and give purpose to us even in the most difficult situations. Whether it's loving a person, going through a difficult experience, or achieving some goal. When we feel a sense of meaning and purpose in us, happiness is the natural result. Meditation, meaning, and the third one that helps us feel happy is a level of gratitude and thanksgiving. You know, there are many people in this world who have so many things to be grateful for and are not happy. And there are many people who have modest means, and yet they feel happiness. And the number one thing that makes a difference between happy and unhappy is how thankful, how grateful, and appreciative that we are. You know, sometimes we think happy people are grateful, but the truth is grateful people are happy. Gratitude is what makes us happy. And every time we take things for granted in our lives and don't appreciate and enjoy what we have, we are robbing ourselves of our own happiness and fulfillment and joy. And there's plenty enough in all of our lives to be happy and grateful for every single day of our lives. And the fact is, we can be grateful for all the little things, from the smell of coffee to the warmth of the sunshine, to the song of the birds, to the job that we get to do, to our family, to our friends, for music. One of my favorite things I'm grateful for are drive-throughs. Drive-through anything, I think, is the greatest invention in the world. If I can go out and run errands without getting out of my car, I think that is heaven right there for me. There are so many things to be thankful for in our lives. But, you know, I saw a TED Talk about someone saying, how can you be grateful when someone has an illness? How can you be grateful when someone goes through a divorce or loses a loved one? And it harkened back to that scripture that says, in all things give thanks, for this is God's will for you. And what it made me realize is sometimes there's some difficult things that are hard to be thankful for in our lives. There are things that we all would appreciate, like all those things that I mentioned, but sometimes they're hard. But this talk said that even when things are difficult, you give thanks for the opportunity to be alive. You give thanks for the opportunity to learn. You give thanks for the opportunity to be able to heal from that situation. You give thanks for the opportunity to share it with your family and to work together for it. You give thanks for the opportunity to become a better person. You give thanks for the opportunity, you know, to learn and to expand and to see life from a different perspective. Whatever you're going through in your life, you don't have to be unhappy about it and complain. You could give thanks for the opportunity of being alive. To know that you can handle this with grace, that you could find God's peace in you to do the very best thing. Sometimes when we get our hoods banged on by people, we can get thinking, oh man, they're complaining about me. Or we could rise to the occasion and say, I'm grateful for this opportunity to learn to be a better communicator, to be a better listener, to be a better parent, to be a better leader, to be a better child. There's so many things to be grateful in life, individual things, and that's great. But sometimes it's good to look at the big picture and just give thanks to be alive. Just give thanks for the opportunity of getting to be here, because we ain't going to be here forever. So we should appreciate being, no matter what condition that we're experiencing now. I have a friend, Bob Kaler, who used to say this. He said, on the day you were born, you were given the opportunity of a lifetime. And so the question is, what are you doing with your opportunity of the lifetime? And are you grateful for this opportunity that we get to live and love and learn and grow and heal and discover and expand? So no matter what you're going through, would you be willing to give thanks for the opportunity of a lifetime? The opportunity to learn and grow and face whatever you're facing with gratitude and thanksgiving. The final thing we're going to talk about is generosity. There is a thing called the science of generosity. And it says that while we think giving of ourselves and giving of our money depletes us, it is the absolute opposite. That when we give, it fills us. When we give, it actually makes us feel good. It makes us feel better. I read a book this week called The Giving Way to Happiness, and the author says, giving is the most satisfying thing you will ever do in your life. Giving is the best kept secret for peace and happiness and success. Giving in all of its different ways. Giving of your time, giving of your encouragement, giving of your support, giving of your smile and your love and your money. Every way of giving always makes your life better. It is the science of generosity. And so they did a study in 2008 at UBC, University of British Columbia, and what they did was they took a group of people and they asked them what their baseline level of happiness was. Then they gave some $5 and some $20 and said, spend it on yourself or spend it on others. And then they came back later and asked them, what's your happiness level? And the people who spent it on themselves, whether it was $5 or $20, felt about as happy, no less happy or no more happy. But every person that spent the $5 or $20 on someone else, every one of them felt happier. Every one of them felt better about themselves, and they felt that they did some good, and it gave them joy in doing good. And so Canada is up in the 15th percent of wealthy countries. So they thought, is this just Canadians like this, or are other people like this? So they decided, they did the same study in Uganda, which is at the bottom 15% of wealth. And so what happened was the very same thing. Took a baseline, they gave them equivalent of what was be $5 and $20, and some gave to themselves, some gave to others, and every single one they gave to themselves unchanged, and every single one that gave to others, every one of them felt better. Everyone felt happier. The interesting thing, and those things were different. The people in Canada bought Starbucks or food or a toy. The people in Uganda, some of the things they did was buy medication to help a child with malaria. So there were different things, but the same pattern happened. When they give to others, they feel better. The other person feels better and they feel better. Interesting, the thing they learned was, even when you don't have a lot, like some of the people in Uganda, even giving when you don't have a lot makes you feel better. Not worse, makes you feel better. It is amazing. They've done, how they say money can't buy happiness? Well, Dolly Parton says, for people who says money can't buy happiness, they just don't know where to shop. And Dolly's half right that money can buy happiness if you spend it on other people. If you help make a difference in someone else's life with your money, money can buy happiness, and it will make you feel good, and it will make them feel good. Anything you do, whether you give of your money, you give of your time, you give of your advice, your encouragement, or donation, it doesn't matter whether it's for cancer or homelessness or your next door neighbor. When you give with a sincere heart, knowing that you'll do good, guess what? You always feel better. You always feel better. Anne Frank said nobody ever went poor giving. People always feel better when they give. They never feel down. They always feel up when they give. Do you know that someone who has an addiction, someone who has been abused, or someone who has lost a family member, when someone who has been hurt helps someone else, it relieves some of their pain? That if you are feeling lost and hurt and struggling in your life, the best way to make yourself feel better is go help someone else. Do you know someone who has an addiction that helps someone else is twice as likely to stay sober by helping someone else? Isn't that amazing? There's less pain, less likelihood of falling back into the addiction. Even when you're hurt, helping someone else always helps you. They say that families that teach their children to give, that it creates more love and bond in the family. Do you know groups like us with our campaign, all of us giving creates a sense of camaraderie and connection and a collective sense of achievement. Giving does amazing things, amazing things. They say that when you give of your time, you know what? You get more time. They did a study about people doing 15 minutes of helping someone do their homework, and every single one of them that did it reported that they felt more confident about time. Then when you give of your time, you tend to be more effective and efficient with time. It is amazing. Anything you give will always come back to you abundantly. Jesus said it. It's a law. As you give, so too shall you receive. Give and you will receive. That whatever good you put out will always come back. It is the law of attraction. It is the law of increase. The more good you do, the more good comes back to you. You know why I think giving's so powerful? Because it opens your heart. It helps you move beyond yourself to give and share of your good, to give and share good energy, positive thoughts with an intention of wanting someone's life to be better. You know why giving helps so much? Because it's love. Whether you give a smile or your time or your money, you're sharing love, and you're increasing the flow of love and goodness in life and in the world. And that's why we're here. The reason we feel so fulfilled when we give, because as the Bible says, love is the fulfilling of the law. The more you give love, the better you feel, and the better it is in the world. Winston Churchill once said, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. This week, are you willing to allow yourself, as the Bible says, to be a cheerful giver, to share yourself, to share your smile, to be an encourager, to make a contribution, to be of service, to help another human being? Every one of us wants to be happy. We have the right to pursue happiness. We all want happiness. But the truth is the best way is not to pursue happiness. It's pursue living a life well by giving yourself to meditation, by giving meaning and purpose to everything that you do, by giving thanks and being grateful and being generous and giving of yourself. We all want a happier life, but it's not to chase it, but it's to give way to happiness. God bless you all.